To see the fully uncut version of this video, head over to patreon.com/Jonjo Lyons.
Wouldst thou like to live deliciously? Chaos reigns.
Please don't scream.
Nah, Sid, don't you blame the movies. Movies don't create psychos. Movies make psychos more creative.
What's happening? My name is Jonjo Lyons, and today I'm here to present to you my review for Scrapbook. Written by Tommy Biondo and directed by Eric Stans, Scrapbook stars the death of hope and whatever little faith I had left in humanity. A young woman is abducted by a serial killer and kept as a prisoner. She learns to manipulate her captor using his beloved scrapbook, which he forces his victims to write in. You know, guys, I feel like we've been having too much fun recently. An Evil Dead ripoff, rotting from the inside, a film noir your own mother flick. Good times. So this week I wanted to go back to basics, back to the core values of the channel and cover something horrible, something abhorrent, something the majority of you out there would consider nigh on unwatchable. Not quite as bad as your mum's sex tape, but still, it's pretty bad. And if I'm being honest, after the way that the monetization has been working on YouTube as of late, I was feeling kinda vindictive. Scrapbook is a rough sit down, man. Featuring some incredibly disturbing content that I know some of you will not respond well to. There are certain scenes in this film that nearly made me bail on reviewing it, and honestly, I haven't been this repulsed by a film since August Underground Mordom. I thought after 2 straight years of reviewing this content, I'd be numb to it, but unfortunately, that's not the case. So yeah, by continuing to watch this video, you forego any right to whinge at me in the comments about being triggered by what's about to happen. Okay? You've been warned. The story centers on Clara, a young woman kidnapped by the serial killer Leonard, and that's pretty much all there is to know. With a minimal cast, single location, and lack of plot, you'd think this would be right up my street, and usually you'd be right. This really isn't going to be any fun, guys. But before we do that, I want to tell you about something very exciting. Last week, I was contacted by a New York City-based comedian that I love and given an open invitation to be on their podcast. Not only would this be an amazing opportunity to introduce the channel to a whole new audience, but also meet other creatives in town, pitch some ideas, make some new links, meet some of the patrons in the flesh, and maybe even get the opportunity to see Scream 6 in the city it's set in, which would be wild. Now, seeing as I'm a broke YouTuber that can barely afford to pay rent, let alone the fact that YouTube recently decided they don't want to pay horror content creators anymore, I've set up a GoFundMe for the trip. You can still sign up to the Patreon if you want to see the uncut videos, but if you were one of those amazing people that wanted to sign up for more than $1 a month, do me a favor. Pop $1 on the Patreon and stick the rest into the GoFundMe campaign. You can find the campaign at gofundme.com/help Jonjo Lyons take Manhattan. See what I did there? And any help is massively appreciated. I truly believe we can make this happen together. Thanks.
Just f***ing do it. Please?
That being said, I feel like ruining your day, so let's not waste any more time. Get ready to be repulsed beyond rational thought by one of the nastiest pieces of shit you ever met in your whole miserable life. This is Scrapbook. The movie begins with a title card that reads, based on true events. Not so sure about that. I had a quick look on Google and came up with nothing. I'm sure it is based on some case and just amped up for the movie's sake, but I can't find anything about it. If any of you lot know details about the case that this movie was based on, please let me know in the comments. I'd be super interested to learn more. Cut to the opening credits as we hear a woman wake up and start to call for help. Another woman tells her he is taking her, that he likes her. The original woman tries to find out what's going on, but the second woman doesn't seem to be making sense. We then hear the car stop as the woman panics, asking what they do. The doors of the vehicle then open, flooding the woman's chamber with light and revealing her cellmate a little bit worse for wear. That's why you should never eat spaghetti bolognese in the pitch black back of a moving van. She's got it all over her tum-tum. Silly rabbit. Cut to the title card and then to this pic of the killer as a young boy. Cut to this teddy bear as we seem to be in the POV of the boy. He spies on this woman before making his presence known and being invited in. The woman tells him he can touch her and that nothing bad is going to happen. She then makes the boy touch her.
There you go.
Bad touch, bad touch. It's revealed the woman is his big sister as she tells the boy to lay down. She then does something to the boy before turning around and doing something to herself. And then we get this moment which legit scared the shit out of me.
Leo, you're not leaving, are you?
The sister then leans in again, promising she won't hurt the boy when their older brother comes screaming into the room. He drags the little brother out, scolding him for doing something with the sister, throws him down and starts to unbutton his pants. Well, off to a good start then. Cut to the woman from the van, Clara, waking up. Her vision clears as we meet the killer, Leonard, up close. He's surprised she's awake and talks about how hard it was to get the dress that she's wearing. Clara then asks him why.
What? Why?
To love me, to help me succeed, all of the above. You're a whore.
Leonard points to his scrapbook, calling it the story of his life, his pride and joy, and talks about how long it's taken him to put together. Leonard then asks Clara why people lie. He says everybody's got a secret.
Everybody's got a secret. Everybody has one. I've got one.
No!
Cut to various articles about missing and murdered women as Leonard tells Clara she's going to help him finish his scrapbook. Leonard then pulls a picture out of the scrapbook and shows it to Clara, complaining about how he can't get it to stick. He shows her the book, saying he only has a couple of pages left and she's going to be the one to help him finish it. She refuses, but Leonard ignores her and continues on.
Every TV deals, movie deals, Jerry Springer. All of it. All through this.
Leonard then mocks her for screaming before popping off his pants and dragging her into another room. He cuts her free of the chair, cuffs her to the bed and takes her picture. He then assaults her until she's bleeding, gets up and is on her. Oh man. Cut to Leonard telling the story of the first time he ever killed anyone. He says he came home one day to find his father with one of his boys. Leonard didn't want to see what they were doing, so went down to the bus stop to get a bus downtown as far away from his house as he could go. There he tried to talk to a girl, got rejected and snapped.
And my pants were down. And my hands are around her throat. Laying up against a hillside right next to the water.
He says she laid there forever and no one came. No one misses anybody anymore. He took pictures and put them in his book, and this is where the idea came from.
I won't be that kid at the bus stop being ignored anymore.
He says he's 27, he's been doing this for 12 years, and he'd hate it if a talk show called him the baby-faced killer as he's 27 but looks 9. He says he'll be the one to get the jet. He'll be the one in the limo, cluing us in onto how delusional this guy really is.
And I will be a powerful man.
I thought this guy's plan was to finish his book, get caught and become infamous, but it looks like he thinks he's going to become a celebrated public figure, only marginally worse than James Corden. He says Clara will be part of it, that they're a team. He then dumps out a purse looking for something to feed her before showing her the pictures he took of her last night. Leonard pushes over the scrapbook and gives Clara a pen to write with. She begins to scribble words furiously into the book, which Leonard complains about, telling her to slow down and write clearly. She eventually stops, pushes the book back to him, sitting defiantly in front of her tormentor. Leonard then pulls his chair close to Clara and reads her entry in his book.
You think you're such a big man, but your dick is so small. I did not even feel it when you stuck it in me. You piece of shit. Loser.
Well, cut outside as Leonard drags Clara across the ground before dumping her into this bin and pouring milk on her. At least, I hope that's milk. He then pops the top on the bin, tapes it closed and bangs it in this hole. Cut to Leonard looking at what Clara wrote. He rips out the page and storms off before returning to his chair and opening the book once more. He puts the page back, taping it in place, and we cut back outside. One thing I'll say I like about this movie so far is the score. Sounds like the same kind of nightmare-fueled disinterested handjob would make. Disinterestedhandjob.bandcamp.com. Cut to Leonard pulling his victim out of the bin and dumping her on the ground. He then gives her a quick rinse and we cut to this pickup arriving at the property. Leonard goes out to meet the driver and we get this exchange.
Name's Biffle Morris. We ain't met, but I've seen you in town often, supermarket and whatnot. Not disturbing you here, am I?
No, not at all.
Now that is some quality ADR. Leonard invites the man in for a beer, which he accepts and they head back to the house. Inside, the man notices Leonard's creative decor choices when he takes his picture. Clara wakes up to the sound of the man screaming and duct tape being torn as Leonard torments him. He then drags the victim into Clara's room and makes him touch her. Leonard hands Clara a picture and begins to beat the man before jamming him in the wardrobe. He tells Clara to stay away from the man and leaves. Clara then looks over at the wardrobe as we hear the man coughing and crying quietly to himself. The man goes quiet and Clara creeps over, opening the door and climbing in. She pulls the door closed and we cut around the blood-stained home. Cut to Leonard screaming at the news as they say Jodie, the girl with the bolognese on her belly, still hasn't been found. He then goes and knocks on Clara's door to let her know what's going on.
Our friend Jody, still hasn't been found, according to the radio. So I have to go and put her where she can be seen.
Leonard says that he's noticed Clara's Aunt Flo hasn't visited yet, after which he tells her not to get any juice anywhere.
Try not to get any juice all over the place, okay? Because I don't like that. Did you have any tampons?
Juice? What a horrible way to refer to a woman's red wedding. The cervical wall sends its regards. Sploosh. He then tells a story about picking up a sex worker as all he wanted was a little p*** on his face. Charming. They started 69ing and he thought she was really into it, but actually she'd just done a period on him. He then tells Clara to be good and heads on out. Cut to Clara getting out of the wardrobe as outside Leonard starts his car and drives away. She tries to open the door but the handle comes off in her hand. She examines the door trying to find a weakness when she notices this opening and sticks her hand through. She then grabs a chair and tries again, getting only inches away from the lock. Clever then grabs a coat hanger and uses it to get to the padlock. Sweet! Now f***ing run, Clara! Hard part's over, get the f*** out of there! Oh, for f***'s sake. It's alright though. It's still very reachable. If not with your hand, then the coat hanger. You got this. Get it together. Or that'll work too. Yes! Now run, Clara! Cut outside as Clara books it into the barn just in time to be spotted by the returning Leonard who gives chase. Inside the barn, Clara looks around trying to find a place of refuge when she stumbles across a human skull in the hay. Cut to Leonard with the pickaxe as he chases Clara down. She hides in the most obvious place imaginable and leaves her foot sticking out, which of course Leonard quickly spots. And then he lets her know he found her. Oof, me. That's got a sting. Leonard picks up the toes as Clara bandages herself and then surprisingly makes a run for it. She tries to make her escape through a window but has trouble getting it open when she notices this sexy mother chilling on the floor. Leonard comes in and grabs Clara, chastising her for her bad smell and saying she's gonna have a shower. Cut to him chucking her into the bathroom, starting up a camcorder and washing her off before pulling out a blade. And what follows is horrible. Not since the August Underground series have I hated a film scene this much. It truly is awful to behold. Seek it out at your own risk.
Okay.
Things continue to get worse when Leonard drags Clara into her room, strips and gets her to perform a sex act on him. He then attempts to assault her but is unable to perform. Of course, he blames her for this, gets angry, and then uses a wine bottle on her. Which, by the end, is a f***ing mess. Moving on. Cut to Leonard fixing the locks in Clara's room, and then to her watching the shower video while looking through the scrapbook under Leonard's watchful eye. Inside are various images of Leonard's past victims and the entries that they wrote, which Clara quietly takes in. She eventually gets to her empty page and begins to write as Leonard reads it aloud.
My old life is becoming faded. I'm starting to understand you. You may be all I need.
Cut to Leonard entering Clara's room and waking her up. He drops the scrapbook next to her, followed by a negligee which she puts on and stands. He looks at her, then leaves as Clara sits back down, picks up the pen and writes more in the book. Cut to Leonard pacing around a sleeping Clara like a wild animal as alarm bells and growls can be heard in the soundscape. He smashes a wine bottle, waking her up once more and indicating for her to continue writing. Cut to Leonard reading the paper, the scrapbook, and Clara as she sits in her room. We then see Leonard face down asleep when Clara crawls over to the door and listens for movement. She peeks under the door and listens, again making sure her tormentor is asleep. The door then somehow pops open and Clara backs away before making her way into the kitchen and seeing Leonard. She knocks something over, causing Leonard to wake up, then places the scrapbook on the table and lowers her head before backing into her room. Cut to Leonard giving Clara some pizza, which she shovels down, and then to Clara's scrapbook page as Leonard voices his concerns at the content. He then reads out the comments he's not a fan of.
Now I need you to need me. I want to return the gift. Let me comfort the man as he has comforted the woman. I strap you down and taste you.
Ugh.
Bind you so that you are submerged in my want for you, Clara's man. Captive because he wants to feel free in his woman's lust. Experience me. Let me love you. What the f***?
Clara stops him, asking if he understands what he has taught her. That she's the best thing he could put in his book because she's different. She's the one he's taught to give to him so he doesn't have to take. She says they need to see him through her eyes as a great man. The others in the book didn't see him. They didn't know him, but she does. For this, Clara catches a slap and then goes back to her room in silence. We see the page once more, then watch Leonard as he follows her. In the room, Clara tells Leonard to touch her, pulling his hands to her body before pushing him away and making him take off his clothes. Leonard is suddenly all bashful and half-heartedly tells her to stop before following the order. Clara then touches him before fully stripping the man bare. She makes him get on his knees, touches him some more, and we see her pick up a knife and place it down next to them. They touch some more with her rubbing the knife on his body, cutting him as he grunts when she orders him to get on the bed. He lays down and she secures him with duct tape. Then what Leonard should have seen coming happens as Clara stabs him right up through the sole of his foot. Ouch. She then moves on to the other foot and does the same before picking up the camera and taking pictures as the man writhes around in pain. She then beats his f***ing head in with the camera. Clara finally picks up the pictures of Leonard, pops them in the scrapbook and gets the f*** out of there. The end! Well, not sure if that was smart of you to leave him alive. Hopefully that doesn't come back to bite you in the arse anytime soon. Double tap, Clara. With a knife. In the face. Scrapbook is a difficult film to assess as it's easy to be blinded by the horrific actions of our villain character and in turn the convincing performance by the protagonist. My initial reaction as the credits rolled was to disregard this film as exploitative trash and even worse, some sort of fantasy made flesh by the film's writer. Of course, the entire reason I started this channel was to give films of this nature a fair shake when it comes to critical analysis, but honestly I'm finding it pretty difficult with this one. The story is, as usual, a simple one here, following the victim of a serial killer as she tries to escape his clutches. We get a bit more backstory than I'm used to, with the film basically telling us why Leonard is the way he is through the opening scene and later exposition. We know nothing of Clara or why he selected her apart from a passing resemblance to his sister, and I think it would have been nice if Leonard got her to talk a bit more, to tell her story. Obviously his motivation is for the world to see him, so I guess other people's lives don't really factor into his thought process, but still, I think there could have been a way to have us know Clara better and in turn empathise with her more. As it stands, the only reason we feel for this woman is because of the torture she goes through, which is enough I suppose, but I wanted other reasons. Does she have a family? What does she aspire to do with her life? I guess we'll never know. In terms of performances, it's very much 50-50. I absolutely hated Leonard, finding him both irritating and poorly acted. It's difficult as I can't tell if my hatred for this guy is genuinely the actor's fault or actually influenced by the character's actions in the film. There's also the fact that Leonard is played by the film's writer that rubs me the wrong way. I could just be imagining it, but there's a certain pomposity when delivering his lines, like he's so proud of what he's written and the character he's created. Again, that could just be a layer of the character I'm attributing to the actor himself, but overall, I did not like him one bit. On the other hand, there's Clara, played fearlessly by actor Emily Hack, which is a dope name by the way. The shit she goes through in this movie is as awful as it gets, and for her to just jump in headfirst is commendable to say the least. Especially popping Leonard's chode in her mouth. No thank you. Thinking about it now, even though I said I would have loved to have learned more about her character through dialogue from Clara, perhaps it's her silence that makes the performance better? I don't know, but one thing I can say is that Clara made this movie bearable. Played by someone lesser, I don't know if I could have gotten to the end. When it comes to the gore, Scrapbook is a tricky one to talk about. We only get a couple of instances featuring bloody violence, and when they happen, they certainly have an effect, but the true horror of this movie is the copious examples of savage sexual assault. What the fuck is going on here? It's easy to say the writer has some serious issues with women, but assuming he's fine, I guess he just wanted to up the shock value of the movie. Scrapbook definitely wears the crown of the most sexual assaults in one movie, and I did find the entire experience repugnant, which of course is the filmmaker's intention, but good lord, man. Who hurt you? For the presentation, there's not really much to say. The movie is filmed with a flat, washed out, almost documentary style like August Underground, which helps to make the events seem more real, but from a filmmaking perspective, the visuals are less than impressive. I did like the set design of Leonard's house, and the music was pretty amazing, but that's about all the positive I have to say. All in all, Scrapbook is a hard watch that I really didn't get much out of. It's competently made with a respectable performance from Emily Hack, but nowhere near good enough for me to excuse the content or see it as anything more than shock value exploitation. I'd been hearing good things about this, but honestly couldn't wait for it to be over, and not in a good way. Plus, what I would give for the opportunity to stomp the absolute out of Leonard. The character, not the actor. I'm sure the actor's fine if slightly up his own arse. In the end, Scrapbook is not one I can recommend or give any reason to see. So that was my review for Scrapbook. What do you lot think? Well done for getting to the end. Your prize? A nice little sit-down cry in the shower. Go ahead. You earned it. I can't believe she let him live at the end though. Not that he's going to be chasing anyone anytime soon with the way she mangled his feet. Speaking of which, if you want to see all the horrors that lay behind the beautiful face of our golden god, Mr. Nicolas Cage, completely uncut and early, head over to patreon.com/Jonjo Lyons. There you can find the uncut version of this review, plus others with more stuff being added all the time. We got the uncut reviews, Patreon exclusive reviews, slasher comic breakdowns, commentaries coming soon, the podcast coming soon, and the Discord. And all that can be yours for as little as $1 a month. You can pledge more, I really appreciate it, but don't! Like I said earlier, I'm really trying to fund this trip to New York, so if you're one of those people that want to pledge more, pledge $1 to the Patreon and stick the rest on the GoFundMe. So that's it for another week. Like the video, leave a comment and click subscribe if you haven't already. My name's Jonjo Lyons and I'm off to go and have my little sit down shower cry. Maybe something a bit more fun next week, yeah? This was a mistake.